And welcome to Back to Paranormal. I am Brian Mitchell.
And I'm Marjorie Stewart.
And welcome back, everybody. This is our third show, which is pretty neat.
Wow.
Yeah, they go fast, right?
They do.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Yeah. And I'm having a nice little youngling over here.
Delish.
Yeah, no plug there. Okay, maybe I did plug it. Maybe we'll get some free beer out of this.
Well, it was one of those days, Brian. Today was, like, as you know, we're in the Northeast, and it was pouring rain all day.
All day.
Honestly, my last errand, before I came home to make dinner.
Yes.
I didn't even bother to use the umbrella.
Really?
No, I was so wet. I was like, why? I felt foolish opening the umbrella.
I broke out the umbrella today because it was pouring in the middle of the day. And where I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I broke it out. And I'm proud of it.
Good for you.
Anyway, this is the show we talk about paranormal stuff and spiritual things and UFOs and stuff. And the last couple of weeks we've been talking about different shows that we like. And the first show, what was the first show we did? We did the Paranormal
Caught on Camera.
And last week, the Osbournes Want to Believe.
They do want to believe.
And today's show is about, I think it's one of my favorite shows.
I think this is one of my favorites, absolutely.
And I think the reason why I like it so much is because it seems very genuine. It seems like the people that do the show, the hosts, I think they're very, very sincere, and I think they're really looking to find evidence of spirits and stuff. And the show is called
Kindred Spirits.
I
like it.
And it seems like all these shows are on the Travel Channel or the Discovery Plus or whatever. And this is another show that we're sad to say last year was its 7th season. And I don't think it's been officially canceled, but it hasn't been renewed yet. But the show features 2 paranormal investigators, and those are
Amy Bruni
and
Adam Berry.
And then they sometimes enlist.
They rope in this wonderful psychic named Chip Coffey.
Who?
Excuse me.
No, that's okay. I think he's pretty good. I think he's pretty authentic, and they've roped in some other psychic mediums as well. But I think Chip has.
I've only ever seen Chip on there, but
no, they brought in some. I don't know the name of the lady that they brought in.
Yes.
But
they've done seances.
Yeah, they've been. Yeah, so. But they bring in good people.
I like Chip. He does that. He brings the drama.
He does bring.
He brings the drama.
He brings plenty of drama. But this is. This is my. I think this is my favorite ghost investigation show. I mean, now Jack Osbourne had one too. He did a limited series, which was like 3 episodes. He went to investigate his home in England.
Yes.
Which I don't think they own anymore. But he did that and other areas that he thought were paranormal. And those shows were good, but I just think that Amy Bruni and Mr. Burry, I think...
Of the investigative, yes.
Yes. Now
I would say that I think the reason why, and I'll speak for myself, that I like this show so much is because I kind of identify for numerous reasons. Both the investigators, Amy Bruni and Adam Berry, are driven by a very personal experience that they have with whatever spirit, paranormal haunting, what have you, an encounter.
Yeah, I think a lot of these people are driven by things that happen to them when they're younger, and then they have a fascination with it. And I think that's same with me. I've had things happen
to you.
I've had stuff growing up, and even more so my adult years, going right up to present day, had things happen, and so that's my fascination with it because of that. And I think for you too, you've had stuff that's happened.
Yes, I definitely have from my life and growing up and things like that.
Right.
But what they've done with it is they're trying to help families and property owners and try to understand, get behind, the inner workings of the home.
Right.
And in an endeavor to, relieve the strain of the household. And that one of the things that Amy says is she wants to help families overcome their fear, take back their home, and reclaim their lives.
And that's really neat, I think.
I think it's pretty honorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Plus, I think she is genuinely wants to help when spirits are kind of lost.
I like that too.
And they're haunting a place for whatever reason. And I think her philosophy is she doesn't believe that there's like evil spirits. I think she thinks that there were maybe angry people that passed over, and they're still carrying the anger of whatever their life situation was. So I think that's her theory on it. But it's not like, I don't think she thinks that there's really evil things out there attacking a family or whatever. That's what she believes. And I tend to believe that too. So anyway, any thoughts on that?
I do have thoughts on that. I think there are people out there who do believe in, like a demonic possession of a person or a place, a thing.
Right.
And I personally don't care to indulge that.
Right.
I think that when she's dealing with these spirits that are lost or trapped in a space, both she and Adam are very sensitive.
They are.
They're very sensitive.
They're very sensitive. And then they bring in chip coffee from time to time.
He comes up with some real amazing facts that he just pulls from the thin air. He's definitely got a gift, but I like the way he delivers the information because he's very animated.
He's very animated, and
I like it.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a character.
He's a character.
And that's not a bad thing.
No, it's fun.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Yeah. So, just a little bit of background. This show kind of came out of, all these shows kind of came out of one show that went on the air years ago, which was Ghost Hunters. And Ghost Hunters ran into a little bit of problems because they were trying to, sometimes they'd investigate a scene and they would have all this equipment and stuff and they wouldn't capture anything. And they'd walk out like, we didn't really find much. We got this noise here and, but we got nothing, but occasionally they would catch some interesting things. They would get things on camera but it was very rare. And so I think the equipment has gotten better the equipment that they use and stuff.
Yeah, that's another thing.
But I know they came, I think Amy Bruni and Adam Berry, I think they both kind of came out of that Ghost Hunters thing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But they were like Ghost Hunters Academy or something like that. Like they were kind of coming up. They were learning about it.
Interesting.
But maybe not featured on the show as much. But then they decided to do their own show. And I believe what they're doing is absolutely authentic. One of my beefs about the show, which I could pretty much answer, I think I know why, is like they'll get a name. They'll do like a EVP thing. And then they'll get maybe a name or they'll get a yes answer or something like that. And then it's kind of like, and something we've said while watching it, right, is how come they're not continuing on with this, you know? And,
yes. No, they have an energy
right.
in their space, in their milieu, and that is willing and attempting to communicate.
Yes.
And it seems as though, and maybe it's just editing, that it comes across on the show that they'll only communicate just so far. You know, whereas,
right.
I mean, I don't know about you, but if I have a ghost that's like, hey, I didn't actually kill my mom. I know they executed me for it.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Right. There was an episode
but,
like that.
Right. But I didn't. I never would. And I'm going to want to sit down and have a real heart-to-heart with this character.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like... and
let them unload their chest. For 300 years, they've been holding on.
It's like they'll go, is this George? And they'll go, they'll get a faint thing like, yes, like that on the EVP. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, our job is done. And
wrap it up.
And I don't think that's what's happening. I think they get maybe something and then they don't get any more. And then they kind of just, but because of the editing, it seems like, okay, our job is done here. We got the yes, and
right.
Or they got a name, and so I don't think that's. I don't think that they're just stopping. I think they're trying to get whatever they can. Obviously, if they put that much effort into doing this, yeah. So that's my guess anyway. That they got maybe one or two things, and then basically it kind of goes dead, and then they.
I think they from some the episodes that I've seen, I'm pretty impressed with the amount of data that they accumulate, and it doesn't have to just be the conversational. It can be the movement of the slamming of the door for no dang reason, or
right.
The SLS monitor, where they're seeing the. When they show like the stick figure, the anomalies.
Yeah, they get the anomalies. That,
and then the spirit.
That's interesting.
The spirit box or the
static, the static from the radio waves.
Yes, where they blindfold themselves.
Right.
They use multiple different implements in order to generate whatever data that they accumulate, and I actually think that they do get quite a bit. But if I'm feeling like there's a soul that wants to have a convo with me and I'm there to communicate, I think I'd really tuck in and
exactly
communicate a little bit more.
I got a question for you.
Shoot.
Let's say they were doing a show and they invited you up to do a ghost investigation at night. Would you do that?
Yeah, I would.
Would you?
Yeah, I mean, if they needed my help.
I think I would do it.
Would you?
Yeah, but
I don't think it has to happen at night. I think that's just for the thrills of the show. Happen in broad daylight.
I think part of it is because they're using night vision. Because I gave it some thought, and it's like you wouldn't capture something if you're using night vision during the day.
Okay, when these people are like go into this haunted, abandoned, state-run insane asylum for the criminally insane, alone, and spend the night in the darkness. Thank you, but No,
Yeah.
no, absolutely not.
You wouldn't do that one.
No.
I guess
I've got to be.
I think you would.
Hey, you know what? The price is always right, but I'm pretty sure I'm not that desperate.
I don't.
Cash.
Yeah, I mean, if it was
No
just
way.
if it was just a haunted house, I'd be okay.
I
But-
grew up in a haunted house.
Yeah.
And it's never frightened me.
Right.
It is never frightened me.
I think my
frightens everybody else.
I think my mother's house is haunted.
I think so too.
But I've never-
He said the things she.
Yeah, things she says my aunt have said in that house, and this is ever since my father passed away, which is about 15 years ago now. Coming up on 15 years.
No, it started before.
It started
when
before.
the neighbor was
The neighbor was
the lovely neighbor
passed away. Yeah.
was killed.
Yes. Yeah, and we'll talk about that sometime down the road when I'm more comfortable talking about it. But yeah, there were things that happened in that house, but I never took any stock in it at the time. Maybe, I don't know. I've had dreams in that house, but I've had more stuff outside of that house.
Yeah,
So-
but your mom will literally be talking about sweet potatoes with candied ginger, and all of a sudden she's like, "I saw a mist." Like in the middle,
Yeah.
it's so de rigueur
Right.
that she just comes up in casual
I know.
conversation. There was a mist that went around the corner and
Yeah.
through the room. And then she's like, "Oh, but you have to make sure you put the caramelized ginger on top of the sweet potato."
Yeah, I know. My aunt had she lived in a house where somebody was killed in Florida. They bought the house anyway, and they were seeing shadow figures.
Wow.
Yeah,
So do you feel that? Okay, so let's just say someone is so devastated, and it's the 1600s, and a woman has lost her 9th child,
right,
and she takes her own life.
right.
Do you feel that the torment, the state in which the woman expired,
Right.
is the state in which they exist as a spirit, as a carryover?
I think it depends. I think it really depends. I think every situation is different.
Yeah.
I don't think everybody that took their life is still here, I mean, there might... I think people who are still here had... there's a flip side of this. I think people who had a really good life here and then died want to kind of continue with this life here because they loved it so much. And I hate to bring this up, but it's... there's a lot of people believe that like Walt Disney still haunts the Disney studio. They think he's still around, and they think that there are certain spots at Disneyland that he really liked to be at. So there's all this video of like a ghost at Disneyland.
I think that would be referred to as residual energy.
No. There was a story that, and I'm going to be paraphrasing because I don't have the exact story, but there's a club there called Club 33. It still exists. It's a private club. It's above Pirates of the Caribbean in Disneyland, and you have to take you got to go through a special door. You got to go up. And it's extravagant fees to get up there. It's a private club at Disneyland. And so, anyway, Walt Disney had a favorite booth there. And there was one time where there was somebody sitting at that booth. Nobody sat anybody down at that booth, but a person was there with his wife. And supposedly, they said, the guy that was waiting on these people, saying they looked an awful lot. He looked an awful lot like Walt Disney. He didn't know what Walt Disney's wife looked like, but But supposedly they were both there. And so they were there and then they disappeared.
Oh,
And
that's really weird.
yeah, it's really weird. It was his favorite table there. So there's a lot of stories, and I don't know if that's true or not, but it's a weird story. But it supposedly it happened like within the last 10 years or so. So anyway, but there are a lot of people. He used to cough a lot at the studio, and so I had a friend who was working there late at night, and he was working on an animation scene for a movie. And he heard somebody coughing coming down the hallway. And Walt Disney used to do that. He used to cough and let people know that he was coming.
Oh, okay. The polite clearing of the
yes. No, just like, just coughing.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept checking the hallway and there was nobody there. And it got closer. And then finally he just kind of freaked out because he heard about those stories and then he just kind of cleared out. He got out of there. So... anyway.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, there's a home that's in my family, and I grew up there in the summertime, and everybody says, I mean, even people who have only been to the home once, there's a something.
Yeah.
And they point to a specific area in the home, and
right.
And I apparently subconsciously I know about this.
Right.
Everybody else hears it. Everybody else feels it. But I personally just feel that this house is, for me, just so loved.
Right.
And it's just full of love. And
Full of spirit.
Okay. Yeah. I think that people get like the heebie-jeebies, or what have you, whereas I translate that to, well, this is a soul that exists in this home and they stay because they love this house. Right.
I've been in the house many times, and I can attest to that there is there is a warm feeling to the house, and then but there is a certain area which is, it's almost like stay away.
Okay. Yeah. Now I don't know if you can do this, but think hard. Okay. If you didn't know me,
yeah,
and you went to that house,
right,
and you got that forbidden vibe,
right,
or that protected.
I think I had the vibe before you told me about
No, I know you had the vibe before I told you about the things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But okay, so just take me out of the equation.
Okay, you're out.
Take my love of that house out.
Okay, I'm throwing you out. Go.
Now you go to the house to do whatever you're in the house.
Right.
And you get that feeling. Yeah. Would you still say it's a warm, loving, happy house? You would be like, I got some hairs on my neck.
I think because if it was just me in the house, yeah, I would. I don't think it would be as warm. Mm-hmm. Sorry about that.
The reason no, that's fine. And the reason I asked is because everybody else.
It's a big house.
It is a large. It's a cottage. It's a cottage.
Yeah.
But
it's a cottage.
It is a cottage. I insist. But
what is it? 9 bedrooms.
It's not.
4 bathrooms. It's just a cottage.
It's a summer cottage.
I've been out to Long Island. We do this show on Long Island. We're really not too far away. We're not too far away.
I just want to finish.
Okay, you finish your thought.
I feel as though I'm constantly defending the vibe, and I'm like, no, it's really just a very well loved home, and I'm like, look at all the sunshine, look at all the windows, and it's just a very loved home. It's a lantern that's on. That's like a spirit that just never died out. Right. But I feel like if I weren't there advocating advocating
Right.
the warmth of this house. People do tend to walk in and be like, it's spooky.
Well, it's kind of, it's
Maybe I'm the only one who feels.
no, it's an older house, and the problem with older houses is that they just naturally start creaking, and the settling that goes on, and so even if there was nothing in the house, even if there was no spirit in the house, which we definitely know there's a spirit in the house because I've heard that thing walking up the stairs in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m.
Everybody hears that. I've never heard it.
It's crazy, but if I was in the house by myself and I heard like all of a sudden some creaking, or just settling of the house or whatever, it would still be pretty creepy to me, And I think that's probably conditioning too, because you have the door that creaks open, like that, and the creaky floorboards and stuff like that,
The floorboards and the fact that it's very in the wetlands area, so the fog literally comes right up to the hedge.
Right.
You can't see beyond.
So it looks spooky on the outside and inside. And it's an old. She's an old soul. What kind of house would you call it?
It's an Edwardian summer cottage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
I love her.
It's a beautiful house.
But the spirit that primarily resides there, I believe, is a male.
Yeah, it feels like a male, and it walks like a male up the stairs. So
those are poplar treads. They they resonate and echo.
That would be an interesting house to do a ghost investigation with.
I wouldn't mind. Chip, come on over.
Chip,
you're invited.
Amy Bruni and Mr. Burry. Mr. Burry, they can all come down and check it out.
We have room for all of you.
You do. 9 bedrooms.
It's not 9 bedrooms.
What is it, 8.5? I don't know.
It's not that huge. I love this house. It's such a happy place for me.
It's a beautiful house.
Everybody else. And then, like my brothers, I'll try to tell them experiences that guests such as yourself have had. And they pretty much, we're talking middle-aged men, professional middle-aged. Yeah. They pretty much want to plug their ears and go, la, la, la.
I think a lot, I
can't hear you.
Let me tell you something. I think in general, a lot of people get weirded out when they hear about this stuff, and it's like if they don't kind of like stop it in their head, they sometimes feel like they're gonna like go berserk or nuts. Yeah, well, because I believe some people can't handle that.
I do,
and so that's why people kind of block it. They go, well, no, that was nothing, Yeah, that thing that walked across, that was. I was halfway asleep. I was dreaming, And they'll find a way of justifying why something wild happened.
Yeah.
For their sanity. But,
I agree with that, and I think that the human brain is wired to ask why. If we didn't ask why, I mean, we would just be amoeba still, right?
Well, I think we
if you can't answer that question.
Well, because everything with our personalities, we're always trying to find logical answers to things, And so we're trying to put it in this box or put it in this box or whatever. And then when something happens that you can't explain, I mean, it's not a noise. It's not just a noise. It's, something you've seen walk across the living room and go through the wall, and you are trying to figure out why that is, and you're trying to put it in that box. Yeah, it's kind of like Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah.
when he's sitting there in front of the fireplace and he's eating whatever that stuff is that he's eating.
Gruel
Gunk.
Yes.
Gruel gunk. He's eating it, and it's like, oh, that was a figment of my imagination, or he's it was an undigested piece of beef, I mean,
yeah.
And I think people do that. I think that's a very real thing, and so anyway, that's what I believe, and and I know people that have had things happen to them, and then a couple of days later, oh yeah, that was nothing. That was nothing.
But do you feel okay? Do you? I don't want to get all existential. And we're here to talk about kindred spirits, but we're also here to talk about
this is all
kindred
related
spirits.
to that stuff.
But when someone refuses to discuss something because they simply don't have the answers, is that ego? Because they cannot. I'm perfectly comfortable with saying, I don't know.
Right.
Okay, that's a possibility.
Right.
I do not know. And is my success as a human hinging on the capability of answering these questions? No, I'm happy to say there are things that we just simply can't explain.
You can't explain.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
But I feel like the people who plug their ears and go la 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 la.
Right. It takes a real tough personality to really accept that. And some people are just not that tough that they can, that they're going to go, oh, okay. Yeah, that did happen or whatever.
But to be able to open your eyes and unplug your ears and listen and forge your way into the unknown, or at least look at it. I think I think it's a valuable quality, and you, my friend, you have it.
Well, thank you. But you have it too.
I know.
And that's why we're doing this show. So, no, look, everybody's in their place. Everybody is in where they need to be. And some people are just more open to it. There's some people that are curious about it. And a lot of people listening to this are curious about this. And there's some people that will never listen to this show because it's a bunch of hogwash in their head. And even though they've had experiences like that, not listening to it, just not doing it, because they don't want to accept it. And I think it does something. I don't know if it's an ego thing or if it's just. I don't know.
I don't know either, but that's why I ask the question.
Right.
And it's fine if people out there feel like it's hogwash. That's okay. But I feel this way, and
right. I think it's really wonderful because if I talk to people about this, sometimes they'll think I'm nuts, and I'm not a nutty guy. I'm humorous sometimes.
You're fun.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Well, you are too.
No, you're not a nut.
But I think some people are, that's the way they are. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a freak. And no, I don't believe that at all. Just totally closed off. Not even the possibility that anything like that could happen. And that's, to me, it's sad because you just, those type of people are really closed-minded. And there's so many possibilities in this world. I've seen a lot of things. There's a lot of things I haven't seen. And, you believe in Bigfoot. And I see the thing with me is that is a possibility. Mm-hmm. These are all things that are possibilities, but there's a lot of things in this world that are absolutely unexplainable.
Yeah. How
somebody can wake up from they died on a operating table and woke up, they got their heart started again and they were awake and they said, oh yeah, my aunt was here. And they're like, well, how'd you know your aunt was here? And, oh, she was sitting in that back room over there. you know?
Yeah.
They know all this stuff. And I mean, scientists have tried to explain this away.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that is just, the imagination, of the person. It's like, well, they were dead, They were dead. They weren't moving around. But to hear people explain about where they went to while they were on an operating table,
half gone,
or just fully gone, and then knowing what was going on around them, and then there are people who have seen spirits, they've seen people, and my mother has, and I woke up one morning and I saw a Native American by the side of my bed.
Roughly how old were you?
35.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was so weird. It was not like looking at you.
Was this on Long Island or California?
Long Island, standing next to my bed, very close.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel threatened by it, and I turned around and I just closed my eyes and went back to sleep.
Mm-hmm. When I've had visitations, but very, very faint. I would never be able to say it was a full-on Native American figure standing.
No, this was the silhouette of I knew it was a Native American.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, which I don't know how I knew that. I mean, from the figure, I don't know. But it was shadowy.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it was
this is Long Island, and
it's Long Island, and
once upon a time was a very fertile
it was
place.
Yes. Well, all the towns here are Massapequa,
pretty much,
Wantagh, Pequot, Quag, Connaught, yeah. All this. Yeah. So it's a lot of history over here. So anyway. Kindred spirits.
Well, he was a kindred spirit for you.
He was, yeah.
I like that story.
Yeah. Well, it's a good story. Mm-hmm. Anyway,
I've never died, but great. I'm sounding like my old buddy Jimbo Schleich.
Neither have I.
Jimbo
Schleich.
No.
Yeah. I've never.
But I have had
How
my
many
last
people have
rites.
died listening to this podcast?
No, okay. I'm sorry, Jimbo, but okay. My old buddy Jimbo Schleich, when I told him, if you keep doing what you're doing, buddy, I love you, but you're going to die. And he was so stoned. He looked at me and he was like, Marjorie, I've never died, okay? And I was like, it's really not something one does multiple times. But no, I don't want to sound like Schleich, but I did have my last rites read, whatever, spoken to me, read to me, what have you.
Read to you, but you never...
I told him to leave. I said, get out. I ain't going anywhere. I was 12 years old.
Well... I'm glad you're still here.
I am too.
Yeah, because I would have never met you.
I would be very sad.
Yeah, and I'd be very sad.
No, I'm still here. I do like this place.
Yeah, me too. I like you here, so please stay here. Anyway.
Okay, so kindred spirits, they are, they have these, they have casework.
Do you think people are getting annoyed by this, that we're talking about other stuff and then we're coming back to kindred spirits?
Oh,
do you think people are getting annoyed by that?
Well, write in and let us know.
Yeah, let us know if you're annoyed.
So should I talk about it? No.
Let's get back to kindred spirits. Okay. That's what the show is about, for crying out loud.
I mean, in the broad strokes, I was hoping we would discuss.
Yeah.
So they get called in to do these casework, and
yes.
There are a few episodes that really kind of stick out in my mind, and one of them was the Home Sweet Homes. And going back to season 2, I think. But yes, no, I'm sorry. You will not be able to read my notes because I have the world's worst penmanship.
We watch the shows.
Talking about spirits, my grandmother
yes
would be spinning in her grave if she was looking at if she looked at this.
I think your notes look great, but anyway.
That's awfully kind.
Okay, so in this particular
charitable soul here.
So tell me about this particular show that we
Home
watched.
Sweet Homes. Okay, this was the home, the farm, the property that belonged to one of the first American female writers.
Oh, that's right.
Mary J. Holmes.
Right.
And one of the things that they never circled back to answer that bothered me.
Right.
This is obviously, paranormal activity going on in the house. A single mother with 2 young daughters.
Right.
And the children are getting very frightened, and it's becoming a very kind of uncomfortable place to live. And she's called in Amy and Adam to kind of get to the bottom of it.
Get to the bottom of it.
Right. But one of the things that they never circled back on was that they found all of these old books buried in the barn that they had to have turned down because it was a fire hazard.
Right.
In the floors, and then they dug those up, brought them into the house.
Right.
And they never in this episode, they never went back to discuss
about the books.
The books.
Right.
That maybe that was what was bringing her soul background.
Right.
To that home.
In that episode, did they communicate with the author? They did, right?
They didn't have that much communication. They got on a pretty amazing thing on the SLS. And then when they interviewed the daughters, the daughters were telling their experiences. One daughter, the younger daughter, described her encounter with this full body apparition.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And the way she said this full body apparition of a plain-faced older woman in kind of old Z clothes, period dress.
Right.
The way that the daughter described how she absented herself from the room was exactly how the SLS anomaly exited from the room in which they were from. Which was
through the floor. Through the floor.
Yeah.
But the other thing that was very interesting was they showed the daughter...
The other daughter,
a bunch of pictures.
Yes.
And so they were thumbing through these things like 1, 2, 3,
they had like
4.
Mary Todd Lincoln and Lizzie Borden and like all these random. And then the minute
they got to that picture, that's her.
Yep.
Yeah.
But she didn't skip a beat.
Yeah.
That was really neat.
That was very neat. Yeah.
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 Some very interesting things on this show.
Very, very
is there another episode that stood out for you? Because I just like all the episodes. But
one of the really interesting things about, just to go back to that episode, was that the mother was doing kitchen work and had a portable Bluetooth speaker in the kitchen, and it was off.
Right.
And a voice came through the speaker and told her to stop.
Right. And then basically she tried to shut it off. And she couldn't shut it off. So what she did, she destroyed it. She
smashed it up.
She smashed it. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
There's a lot of stuff that happens.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that happens.
There was a lot from that episode that stood out.
We're going to be reviewing a book in a couple of weeks, which is, we were talking about this on a previous episode of this, by the Guggenheims, called After Death Communications. And there's a whole section on electronic stuff, meaning people that call on Aunt Betty, who passed away, a couple of months ago. All of a sudden, she's calling up on the telephone. Hello, Marjorie or whatever, and then all of a sudden, the line just goes dead.
Do you think that would be considered EVP?
It's not. No, it's just a telephone. They call it just a telephone communication.
Interesting.
Yeah. or whatever name.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's
And it happens. There are people who have stories about this, and it's like, and they'll even identify, it's Uncle Fred or whatever. It's Uncle Fred calling, yeah. And then all of a sudden the line just goes dead.
That's amazing.
What, my voice or just that?
The fact that it just happens at all.
Yeah.
And then there was the episode in Derby, Connecticut.
Right.
That was called Vaulted Secrets. So this was a former bank in Derby. And apparently it was right on the river where...
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. You don't need to know. You don't need to know what happened here. Right. Now they're going to be thinking the worst.
Tremendous hurricane in 1955.
Yeah.
And the whole river that there ran through was flooded so badly that it flooded out some cemeteries, and some coffins were floating down down the river, and they had to kind of use that bank as a makeshift morgue to kind of assess and then reintern the bodies. The bodies that had been kind of dug up by the floodwaters.
Yikes. That must have been horrifying.
I cannot even imagine. This is why I very strongly would like to be cremated and scattered to the winds. Or a tree. You can come back as a tree.
Yeah.
Like our buddy Bill Shatner.
He's still alive.
No, but he will.
Yeah.
By the grace of God, we still have him, and Willie Nelson. But William Shatner would like to come back as a tree.
Right.
So, anyway,
he can do it. He's William Shatner.
That bank that was a bank, and then temporarily an emergency morgue, is now the home of the Twisted Vine restaurant. And there's a huge amount of activity there. The jukebox just comes on and off all on its own. Whenever there's music playing, many people will see this full body apparition. He's apparently very attracted to the music.
Yeah. Or agitated by it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think so. He says hi to the waitresses.
Oh, okay.
And, but the poor soul, he had a very good position at this bank, and apparently as a cashier, he cashed some checks that had been forged, and it devastated him.
Right.
And he committed suicide in the vault.
Oh boy. How did he do that? He hung himself.
No, he a gunshot wound to the head. Remember? He put a coffin in the vault, and he did it in the coffin because he felt like such a sense of responsibility that he didn't want anybody to have to clean up any mess or anything like that.
I don't know. Maybe I took a break when that happened.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah, maybe I didn't get that.
See that one.
I didn't. No, I did see that one.
Oh, okay.
No, I saw that one because I remember that in the basement with the jukebox going off.
It was very sad.
There were other things going on too. It wasn't just that.
There were.
It's like all these anomalies, all these things with the computers, kind of going berserk.
Right.
Because there was a bar, right?
Yes,
it's a bar in the basement. Mm-hmm. And so, so the light up displays where they would like tap on them for one drink, a barrel of pretzels or whatever, they would. I don't know, but they all kind of went nuts. So I remember that. I don't remember that story. I believe it. He was so neat.
Maybe I'm wondering if I'm remembering it the right way.
No, I think you remember. Well. I think you're remembering it. I think I probably stepped out for 5 minutes while you were watching that section.
It's a possibility.
I think it is,
And then there was, this one was a very interesting. So there is a beautiful old home, an historic home in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. It is now known as the Valley Inn. And Amy and Adam were surprised because what they were saying is usually they get called in to the property to perform their investigations and report back to the homeowner or the property owner. And in this case, they had been asking for a long time, please, 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 can we investigate this house?
Oh, that's right.
And finally, they let them do it. And so it was the original house was built in 1646.
Right.
Which
it was a big property, right?
It was a large-sized property.
Large-sized property, yeah.
I think maybe more than a couple hundred acres. I could be mistaken.
Right.
I don't know what it is now, but and it was a home that belonged to the Cornell family, who founded the Cornell University in upstate New York.
Right.
But it's the only case in America of a man who was convicted of murder based on the testimony of a relative who said that an apparition, a ghost, came to him in the night and told him that his nephew was the one who killed his sister. And they hanged him.
No, it was no. She didn't say that.
She didn't. But that's what
the gist was. But she appeared and she said, "Look at me.
I'm burned.
I'm burned. Look at me." So I don't know how they got that guy did it, but anyway, they did a neat thing where one of them was outside and they were asking questions, and then inside they had, I don't know if they had a spirit box going or whatever, and then so they were asking the questions outside, out of earshot. And then the person had the headphones on, Adam Burry, and then he was saying what he heard, which were answers to what...
It was really neat.
Yeah, and then they reversed the process.
They traded places. And it was... and they came to the conclusion. She was actually outside by where he was buried, which was away from the family. The general area where they assumed that they put this poor man into an unmarked grave.
That's right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was pretty weird.
The fact that they changed places was interesting because Chip on the phone remotely said, "I think you might be dealing with a shapeshifter." Interesting,
right?
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And it was almost as though the voice that was coming in to Adam, he initially thought that it was Thomas Cornell Jr.,
right,
who was executed for allegedly murdering his mother, Rebecca.
Right.
But as the more they spoke, the more that this shape-shifting entity really started to tip his hand.
Yeah. Interesting, right?
It really was.
It was a fascinating show. And you know, one of the nice things about this particular show is that they do a lot of research.
Yes.
They'll go in, they'll get whatever they're telling them, they'll absorb all that and they'll make notes of that, but then they'll actually go and research the house and find out if the information they're giving them is, you know, kind of correlates to the history of the area. And so I think that's great that they do that.
It is, and it seems as though it's a lot of work, like going into these dusty libraries and digging up, you know, surveyors' maps from the late 1600s, and
absolutely,
you know, the cooperation that one would have to enlist to get all your ducks in a row,
right?
You know, and to do the reading and
the whole shebang,
the whole shebang, whole kit and caboodle.
Anyway, my beer is almost done.
Oh no!
You know what that means?
That's sad.
It's sad, but it also means that that's kind of like that's our hourglass. You know, like giving us the time to wind down.
Like sips of beer through my gullet. These are the days.
These are the days of the podcast. Yeah. So anyway, what are we reviewing next week? What are we going to... Oh, okay, so let's
we have some books for you good people. Well, okay, but definitely Travel Channel, 8 seasons, lots of really good TV.
You're hoping it's 8. It's only 7. It's 7 seasons.
Oh, was that my wishful thinking?
I think you were just kind of pushing it through.
Oh, I'm sorry, good people. Thank you for correcting me.
That's all right.
But maybe, from my mouth to God's ears.
I think the Discovery people are making big mistakes here, and they need to renew.
They still need to believe.
They need to get that show back on, and they need to get this one renewed as soon as possible.
Because Adam and Amy really are kindred spirits.
I think they are. They're really good. Would you call them hosts of the show? I guess so, right? You kind of just follow them. It's not like they don't really have a host. They just kind of, we're visiting this.
They're stars.
We're doing this. We're going to hang out at night and see if we can catch something bumping around.
And again,
right.
Travel Channel. Check it out, Kindred Spirits.
The Travel Channel.
And we have some books that we've been working on reading, and some very interesting things for you coming up. I think we have some Irish ghost stories.
And I think next week maybe we'll review the Guggenheim book.
Yes, the Guggenheim book, which we had mentioned.
Yes, After Death Communications. And
ADC.
It's a really good book, and there are things in there that have happened to me. So there.
You have a lot to relate to about that.
A lot to relate to. No, I think it's, they did this. It was, I think, it's about maybe 400 accounts, maybe just under 400 accounts.
It's a pretty astronomical amount.
Yeah, and it's available in paperback. And I just picked up a copy because I lent my copy to my mom, and she tore the thing apart I think she kept reading it, and because it's really fascinating.
Is it being held together with like masking tape?
Last time I went there, I couldn't find it. That's why I figured let me just get a new copy. So it was $10. Nice. It was sent to me by Amazon. So there you go. Anyway, Kindred Spirits. We really like the show. It's fun. It's informative. And it's surprising. Some of the stuff is really surprising, and some of it
is.
It's like anything. When you're trying to capture something, you go and you do the best you can, and sometimes the stuff is great, and sometimes not so great. And I think that's to be expected. But I think they're very credible.
Yes.
Which is very important to me. And not like some other shows out there where they get really sensational and they're playing up the horror aspect. And I'm not a big fan of that stuff,
Me either.
So anyway, Kindred Spirits, Travel Channel, Discovery Plus. We'll be back next week for more glorious ghostly fun. I think there was just some thunder and lightning outside in the distance.
Taking us back to paranormal.
Back to paranormal. There you go. So we'll see you next time. Have a good one now.